Well, ladies and gentlemen, late last night, with the votes coming in out of California, Donald Trump has officially clinched the biggest popular vote count by a Republican ever. It's not all that surprising considering this is the first time in a while, like about 6 election cycles, that a Republican has won the popular vote. It would be 2004. That would have been the last time. And so this is huge stuff. Not surprising, though, considering based off of where we're going in terms of the United States, the more population we get, the more people that are going to be voting. Obviously, that didn't work out for Kamala Harris. She got significantly less votes. Let's take a look at the updated results here. We're waiting for California. It's at 74% in. I don't remember California being this bad in 2020, but maybe it was, and we were just distracted by all the other Rust Belt states not getting called. You do have Oregon, 14-point lead. You also have Washington, 87% in, around a 19-point lead. But California, around a 20-point lead for Kamala Harris, which is pretty much what I expected. It was at around 17. It's crept up a little bit. Kamala Harris sitting right above 71 million votes. Donald Trump, he will surpass 75 million votes and very likely get at least, I would say around 76 million, especially since there's still around a fourth of the vote out left in California. But obviously at this point, Republicans will be getting 53 Senate seats with Dave McCormick winning. Bob Casey hasn't conceded yet, but that race is effectively over. And then you also do have the House, which is mercifully limping to hopefully an end where the Republicans get around at least 220. The original hope was 222, but now the projection is around 220, and they're just taking forever to count in some of these districts, and that's really what's going on. So I would imagine you can see that this thing I wouldn't pay attention to. It says Republicans are down to 80% in terms of control. I think it's like 99 from everything that I've seen. They will definitely have control of the House. It's a little bit disappointing. It's probably going to only be around 220. If you were to tell me that Trump was going to win the popular vote possibly by over a point, I would think the House would fare a lot better, to where Republicans would at least get around 225 to 230 seats. But it is what it is. They're sitting at 216, and you need 218 for majority, obviously. They're the favorite at this point with 216, the Democrats at 209, but still quite a few races still left to call, and it's disappointing. You can see some of the races out in Alaska. The Republican is up by around 4 there with 74%, and that's going to be pretty tough to overcome. You've also got a Republican up in a district in California, up by 3, only 62% in there. Arizona, Republican up by around half a point, 91% in there. Arizona's had a lot of close races, but those are just some of them. You got some Democrats leading by around 2 in California with around 88%. And so, I would imagine it would be around 220, 221 for Republicans in terms of the House seats. I know people are getting a little bit antsy about that because they haven't called anything recently, but I would imagine that is what it will end up being. And then we also do have a few things I wanted to talk about. You've got Kamala Harris has not spoken to either Obama, so Barack or Michelle. Her team has been reaching out, but no one on Obama's team is calling or texting back, according to a White House official. So yeah, there was a hint in Kamala's concession speech that maybe she's trying to prep a run in 2028. She was talking about how we're not out of the fight yet. She was specifically saying that she was going to keep fighting, and she was going to, maybe talking about trying to run in 2028. It's not going to happen. The Democrats would never allow that. They're not going to hitch their wagon to Kamala Harris after she just got trounced by Trump. There are a lot of Democrats that are saying Kamala ran a good campaign for the limited time that she had because she entered, and to be fair to her, normally when you're at the point like in late June, early July when she took over, you've got momentum from the primary process where normally the candidate wins the primary. Obviously, Harris comes in with that terrible approval rating as VP, and it was seen as a horrible, horrible look for the Democrats because they legitimately forced Biden out because he was terrible at the debate, and their internals were so horrible. They were saying their internals were Trump was going to get over 400 electoral votes and win New York and New Jersey, and so that's why they were so much pressure on Biden. A lot of the Biden stuff was, I think Democrats realized it was a charade, and asking Americans to vote for Biden for another 4 years, it's like you're thinking we're stupid or something. You're treating us like we're 5-year-olds. Like, do we really think Biden is going to last another 4 years? He could barely talk at this debate in June. What are we talking about here? And so a lot of the Democrats realized that. And so it was like Kamala gets in, but she really didn't earn it. And so, but I don't think Kamala, I never thought Kamala was a good candidate, and I didn't think she ran the best campaign. I mean, there's some of her finances are coming out. She paid the people that worked for her campaign apparently around $500 million. I don't know if that's right, but that's what they were saying, like $550 million. Trump paid the people that worked for him around $10 million, the campaign advisors, things like that. So that just goes to show you the difference there. And then obviously, I mean, this is the craziest thing ever. You have Democrats talking about money in politics. Every single election cycle, they have more money than Republicans. What are you talking about? They keep referencing Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. He was giving people $1 million for signing a pact. If you're just talking about raw money, you should look inwards. The Democrats with Soros and with that. How about the 2022 midterms with all the fraudulent money from Sam Bankman-Fried? He was the second highest Democratic donor in the 2022 midterms. And then a month later, we all know what happened with him with all of the FTX stuff. So guys, you know, they're the ones that like this is unbelievable. They spend more money times 5, times 10. They act like Trump, and because he's a billionaire, because Musk is a billionaire, it's all like this illusion. Like they're the ones that have all the money. They win elections because they spend all the money. No, the Democrats every election cycle spend more than Republicans, and it's not even close either. In 2020 and 2016, I think it was even worse, especially 2016. But even in 2024, they spent significantly more than Republicans and ended up losing. And Trump is able to take advantage of, like, look at the free media with Joe Rogan. What a mistake by the Democrats. Not that it would have changed anything. I mean, you lose an election by this much. One podcast is not going to necessarily swing it. But what a mistake. That's free media. That's a free, obviously the Kamala interview with Rogan wouldn't have got 40 or 50 million views like the Trump one, but you would have gotten 10, 15, 20 million. So it's just they really shot themselves in the foot with that, but it does seem like the Democrats are moving on from Kamala, and that's always what happens. I mean, especially when a candidate loses like that, even if you don't think they were given a fair shot, a fair full campaign election cycle, it doesn't matter. I mean, you can't lose like that where you get trounced, and especially a Democrat losing the popular vote to Trump. Of all people, they're going to be done, and we'll have to see what happens with the Democrats. There's a lot of names being thrown around when it comes to who's going to be their nominee in 2028. You've got all the cookie-cutter ones. You've also got what happened with Cuban, to where it's now Cuban officially erased every single Kamala-related tweet from his account. Because originally last night it was like he deleted a few of them, but he's deleted every single tweet, which doesn't make a ton of sense considering everybody already knows. Mark Cuban 2 weeks ago was doing town halls saying vote for Kamala. So I don't know what he's thinking he's going to delete all this stuff and people are going to forget. It's very strange. And then you can see this. Now, this is something that was long rumored. Josh Shapiro potentially turning down the VP spot. Let me just first say, based on the loss, there's no way Shapiro would have swung it. He might have swung Pennsylvania by half a point, maybe by 0.7. So Trump, instead of winning Pennsylvania by 2, he wins by 1.3 or 1.4. But it was very surprising that based off of the ticket, Harris chose someone like Walz from Minnesota rather than Shapiro, who you would think would be seen as more masculine. They were always going to choose a white male, but Shapiro maybe a better balance of the ticket. And also Shapiro, the most important state in the election. I mean, both candidates were at Pennsylvania the most. It was the 19 electoral votes. It was the crown jewel. It was the tipping point. And it's seen as that because you'd think it's the most conservative or the most conservative Rust Belt state. So if it goes left, then the other two would go left. But when it comes to Shapiro, he had a meeting, and apparently the Shapiro people, it says here, they thought the meeting did not go well as it could have. And then Shapiro called the Harris team and said he didn't want to leave his job as governor. And so a lot of this is very interesting political stuff. You would think Shapiro may be thinking he can run for president in 2028. Kamala's going to lose. He doesn't want that on his resume. Stay out of it. And I guess that's exactly what happened. So it really didn't make any sense. There was the whole angle about, well, the Israel-Palestine situation with Shapiro coming out, against Palestine, at least according to some people. It would affect the vote in Michigan. It didn't even matter. I mean, most of those people ended up voting for Jill Stein anyways. So, but either way, it does look like Shapiro potentially turned this down, and it never really made sense from a strategical point to pick Walz over Shapiro in really any sense. To be fair to Walz, I mean, he didn't have a bad approval rating. I don't think Walz really had much of an effect either way, and they were going to lose no matter what. When you lose by that much, you can't really blame the VP choice for that, although certainly I don't think Walz helped the matter and did not balance the ticket at all. You needed a more masculine dude that could relate to the people you were struggling with, which was white men and just men in general, and Walz was not that guy. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.